The fellow commissioners and staff members of the commission and also the members of the public. I understand that we've got a number of people who have already expressed interest to speak during the public comment session. This is the Thursday, November 7, 2024 business meeting of the Little Hoover Commission. As you are aware, there's a couple of different ways for folks to let us know what they want to say and how they want to say it. You can do it through our website. If you're going to do that, make sure that you let us know that you're in line and waiting so that staff knows how to unmute you. If you're in the meeting facility, then you can get a hold of staff and let them know that you wish to speak to the commission as well. The public comment session, we'll start with that for this meeting. I wanted to start right away because I understand there's a couple of commissioners who have some time restraints, and I'd like to make sure that they have as much opportunity to participate as possible. Having said that, Ethan, is there anything else you think I need to cover before we open it up to public comment?
Not particularly, Mr. Chairman. Just to reiterate for members of the public, the Sheriff, you can go ahead and put those instructions back up on the screen for one moment. If you have joined via Zoom and you wish to make public comment, please use the raised hand function. That is the best way to indicate you wish to make public comment. If you have phoned into the meeting, email us at littlehoover@lhc.ca.gov. That address is now on your screen. Include your phone number so we know who to unmute. But if you've Zoomed in, please just use the raised hand function. If you make public comment, we ask that each commenter be limited to 3 minutes. The commissioners will be able to hear you, but not see you. And this is the public comment session for all components of the agenda. So if you wish to make public comment on any topic that's on the agenda today or anything else for that matter, you need to make public comment now, not later.
Recording in progress.
And I hear that we have a recording in progress. So if you wish to make public comment on any topic on the agenda, go ahead and raise your hand now. So with that, Mr. Chairman, we will move into public comment. And it appears to me that I believe we have no people in the physical meeting location who have indicated they wish to make public comment. And I am looking online and I do not actually see any raised hands. Shara, can you confirm, is that correct?
That's correct. No raised hands.
Okay, well, if you are a member of the public and you wish to make public comment, this is the time to do so. So I'll give one more chance for anyone to raise their hand if they wish to. And if not, we don't have any public comment, Mr. Chairman. So we can move on to item 2.
Let's do item 2, which is the business meeting minutes from the August 22, 2024 meeting. Any questions, comments, or corrections with respect to the minutes? Seeing none, is there a motion to adopt the minutes as presented?
So moved.
I'm sorry, there you go. Commissioner, is that
Sidley?
Commissioner Sidley.
Thank you. I'll second that so we can move it along. So if you would be so kind to call the roll.
Mr. Chairman?
Aye.
Mr. Vice Chairman?
Aye.
Commissioner Aroner?
Aye.
Commissioner Byer?
Aye.
Assemblymember Chen? Commissioner Garcetti? Commissioner Hernandez?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Senator Min? Assemblymember Ortega? Commissioner Sidley?
Yes, aye.
Senator Wilk. That motion carries, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, commissioners. Let's move to item number 3, which is a consideration of the draft report on reforms to the homeowners insurance market. Turning that over to Ethan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. So this draft report begins on page 4 of the packet that was sent to the commissioners. The subcommittee here was Commissioner Sidley and Vice Chairman Cannella. But before you turn to them, Mr. Chairman, for whatever comments they wish to make, I will ask Tamar, in keeping with our normal practice, to give a brief summary of the report. Tamar?
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. Nice to see everyone. I will try and keep this brief, though it is an extensive report. So the commission initiated this study back in March following extensive media coverage of a home insurance market in crisis, which was exacerbated by our increasingly chronic wildfire risk. Over 4 months, we heard valuable input from homeowners, industry officials, consumer advocates, local elected officials, firefighters, and others. Homeowners and consumer advocates told of a market in crisis, with many struggling to find affordable and adequate coverage. We heard frustration and confusion at the information available to help homeowners learn what they needed to do to maintain coverage and also to protect their properties against fire. Insurers told us they were eager to continue writing in the state, but were hampered by regulatory policies that have prevented rates from matching risks. And we heard from fire officials and local leaders who are working hard to organize homeowners and communities in efforts to mitigate these fire risks, some frustrated by the lack of leadership in the state to better align policies in the intersection of insurance and mitigation. This draft report provides background on the current market condition and contains 11 recommendations to advance the state's work in stabilizing the home insurance market. I'll try and summarize these 11 recommendations. The first 2 recommendations encourage the Department of Insurance to move forward with their catastrophe modeling recommendations, which are already under development. But note that additional elements are needed in these reforms. First, to ensure public oversight of the models insurers use to set rates. The current draft regulations do not include strong public oversight of modeling. And at least one other state, that's Florida, has created an independent commission to review and revise actuarial models used by insurers. Similarly, independent panel of experts to review the design and use of these models could provide stronger oversight and transparency here. The second is to require that underwriting models account for climate mitigation efforts at the parcel, community, and landscape levels. Underwriting decisions are not regulated, but adding these requirements could ensure that insurers account for billions of dollars California has spent on forest treatment, and also the significant investments that individual homeowners have made to protect their own homes. Recommendation 3 is about the Recommendation 3 says regulations are pending to allow insurers to incorporate the net cost of California reinsurance when setting rates. But to bring insurers back to the market, the Department of Insurance must act swiftly to finalize and begin implementing these regulations. The next one, in answering basic questions about the state of California's home insurance is more difficult than it ought to be. This makes it hampers the ability of homeowners, researchers, policymakers, and others to understand and respond to changing market conditions. The Department of Insurance must modernize its website to make it more user-friendly and accessible. It should provide timely information and relevant market information. This should include regularly posting data about the state of the home insurance market and key indicators of the department's performance in regulating that market. Recommendations 5 through 7 together aim to align information and requirements around mitigating fire risks and maintaining insurability for homes. This includes first requiring the Department of Insurance to define a fire-safe minimum set of core standards or core evidence-based mitigations for homeowners, and a second set for communities. Doing this would help homeowners, insurers, fire officials, and others align around science-backed improvements and ensure that resources spent on mitigating fire risks are used most effectively. The second part of the recommendation here is that establishing statutory protections against homeowners association rules or local ordinances that restricts the use of fire-hardened building materials or other mitigations to fortify homes against fire risks. Doing this would help ensure that homeowners don't face unnecessary red tape when they're trying to invest in home hardening improvements. Recommendation 8 is about ensuring that homeowners have access to all options for home insurance. We heard that many insurance agents and brokers are not clear on how to contact the state licensed surplus line brokers on behalf of their clients, and thus are not able to offer these products to their clients. So this recommendation is that the Department of Insurance provide on its website clear instructions for insurance brokers and agents to contact these surplus line brokers. Recommendation 9 is about leveraging property condition and risk information to better inform policy decisions and investments. Currently, a lot of valuable information about California's housing stock that is its risk to fire and other disasters and the conditions of the properties. It's inaccessible to all of those who could benefit, like homeowners, fire officials, and various state agencies. Here, the commission calls for the state to take a leadership role in ensuring that reliable, timely, parcel, and community level data is available to all who need it through the creation of a centralized and accessible database of property, condition, and risk information. This is sometimes referred to as a data commons. Recommendation 10, we're almost there. Recommendation 10 is to establish a multidisciplinary team of experts to create a public open source catastrophe model for the state. Having this kind of tool could help state leaders could help state leaders assess the risk of wildfires and other climate-related catastrophes and predict insured losses for residential properties and communities. Though the Department of Insurance recently announced the formation of a working group to consider such a model, the commission here recommends actually beginning the work to create the model. And finally, recommendation 11 is to help homeowners protect their properties against fire. Renovating or repairing a home to make it fire safe can result in significant costs for homeowners. For some, particularly those older homeowners who might be living on fixed income, these costs can be prohibitive. To support and encourage Californians to fortify their homes and align with evidence-based fire standards, this recommendation calls for the state to expand the kinds of programs available to support homeowners. This could include tax breaks, grants, or insurance discounts, expanding the state's wildfire mitigation program, or establishing a standardized home inspection process. So with that, I'll conclude the summary and happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Tamara. Let me express my appreciation for the work done on this draft report. This was a complicated and nuanced issue. I think the commission has once again done extraordinary work in taking information from various stakeholders and then staff's ability to synthesize that in a way that is clear and steps that are reasonable and can be taken. On this particular topic, the subcommittee was Vice Chair Cannella and Commissioner Sidley. And why don't I ask either one of you if you have remarks you'd like to make at this time? I see Commissioner Sidley's unmuted.
So I'm happy to make some remarks. This was a very difficult topic, and I think I want to thank everybody who testified and helped us with this, and certainly want to thank Tamar for a report that was incredibly well written, and I think captured the concerns that we heard and helped us formulate the recommendations. I'm proud to put my name on this. I do want to say that I remain very, very disappointed in the office of the insurance commissioner. The insurance commissioner and his office, nobody bothered to show up to help us with this. Nobody testified. We asked for information. It was not provided. I think it's very important that we continue to stress this point that we are a nonpartisan committee that is solely dedicated to trying to help Californians to move forward, improve their life. And it is distressing to me that an elected official was unwilling to participate in what I personally feel, and I think the commission feels, was an incredibly important study. So I just wanted to say that we did reach out numerous times. We tried to bend over backwards in order to get the insurance commission office, the insurance office to participate. They absolutely were just not available to us at all, which is, I believe, the first time in the history of the Little Hoover Commission, certainly in my tenure. So I just wanted to make that point because it is a point of great disappointment to me, and I know others on the commission. And then with that, I thought the report, I'm very proud of the report, and I'm proud to put my name on it. So thank you.
Wonderful. Vice Chair Cannella is unmuted.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to echo part of the comments by Jana, especially the report. It's excellent work. I read it, and I was so impressed with it. I think it, very accurately captures what we heard and what the issues are and some of the solutions. So I do want to thank staff for excellent work. Also on the general topic of insurance, I think before this issue was brought up, I'd read about issues but it didn't really apply to me. And since that time, I've started to pay attention, and I have lots of friends that have had issues happen at their house or something's happened and they don't want to call the insurance. In fact, their insurance agent advised them to not submit anything to the insurance company because they would more than likely get canceled. So whether that's true or not, that is the narrative out there. And so we certainly have a problem. And really for me, I just assumed every year that I'd pay my insurance, I'd have insurance. And now when I get my renewals, I kind of hold my breath. I'm like, oh man, I hope there's not going to be a problem. And that's unfortunate. We have so many other issues in this world to worry about. We shouldn't have to worry about insurance and continuing to be insured. So I do think these recommendations go a long way. Unfortunately, we started after the insurance commissioner started on his process. So I know the insurance commissioner. I think he's a tremendous person. This whole thing's been unfortunate. Maybe he's been getting some bad staff advice because I've worked with him for so many years. I know that he's a person that really likes to be engaged, but we are where we are. And so they're moving forward with their changes. Hopefully at some point they read our report. I know they didn't want to participate, but hopefully they read the report and see the excellent work that's been put into it, and they take some of these recommendations. And if not, I hope the legislature takes some of these recommendations, because this is a really big issue. And I think, I'm on the Little Hoover Commission. I was on the subcommittee. I think this will all fix everything. So I think that it should be adopted en masse by the legislature or the insurance commissioner. So with that, again, Tamar, thank you. Excellent work. I'm just so impressed with it, and I'm happy to have my name on this as well.
Yes, let's do Commissioner Arano, followed by Commissioner Byer.
Yes, good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for this report. So it's a phenomenal report. It really does capture, I think, most things of what we heard, and comes together, in our nonpartisan way, comes together with a set of recommendations that I think reflect on what we heard and our ideas about what might fix it. As somebody who is actually living the dream right now, my home insurance was canceled, and I'm now using the what I can't remember the name of the other market. My insurance was tripled, right? I'm now paying $10,000 a year for home insurance in an area where we have done lots of mitigation, that kind of thing. So the one big issue for me, and one of the reasons I'm interested in having this resolved quickly, right, and not waiting years for other studies to happen and all of that kind of thing by the Department of Insurance, is the question of, can I get, when my insurance comes up again next year, am I still stuck with having to go to the out-of-state market? Or is there going to be a possibility for people like me, and we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people, right, in this situation, are we going to be able to re-enter the market with in-state insurance companies? Because I have to presume that I might be wrong, that it's going to be cheaper than what I'm currently paying today. And so, as somebody who's an example of what happened, and looking in a scarce market, having to reach out to insurance brokers for the first time ever, because I never had to use a broker before, had to go and find somebody. It's a very nerve-wracking thing. It was very frightening, actually. I live in I guess what's considered not a high fire area, but where the urban setting hits the forest, right, in the Berkeley Hills, and lots of my neighbors are in the same situation, and we are all wondering, right, are we ever going to get back into the market here in California using a California-based insurance company? So, time is of the essence, right? And I think that's why our report is so important. It has suggestions about things that can be done quickly, right? And why we have to have, ideas why we have to study anything anymore, meaning the insurance commissioner and the department has to study things. I have questions about and reservations about. But anyway, it's an excellent report. And I hope that, I'm presuming that we are going to, take a vote on it this morning and then have it set up and all of that and sent out to everybody. So thank you, Tamar. Really, it's excellent work.
Thank you. Commissioner Byer?
Thank you. I want to underline the praise for the staff and for the leaders on the commission. I have two questions for staff, or two sets of questions. And I'll telegraph, these are leading questions. So they're aimed at making a point. Tamar, how long have we known about climate change and wildfire risk?
Oh gosh, for years.
Does it go to 2018 when Commissioner Lara took office?
Well, 2027 and 2018 were certainly the years of the most, the most disastrous fires California has seen in history.
Okay.
That start,
Thank you.
so yes.
Thank you. And how long has the current regulatory regime existed with consumer advocates and delays in securing rate increases for insurance companies?
Oh gosh, I don't know. We'd
That's
have to.
Prop 103 was in what year?
Yeah. Oh,
Oh gosh.
No, I can answer that, Commissioner
yeah.
Barr, 1988, Prop
Yeah, I
103
was
passed.
gonna say 80s decade.
So a long time ago.
Mhm.
And when did Commissioner Lara propose the first substantive reform of the homeowners insurance policy? Was that in 2023?
I believe so. That was his. Yes, I believe so. 2023.
Okay, and if I'm not mistaken, we got a letter yesterday from the insurance department commenting only on areas where our report agreed with them, but offering zero comments on ideas that we forwarded that had occurred during the period from February to today from various outside witnesses, many of which we're poised to adopt. But there's no commentary in that letter about the data commons, the need for an independent commission to review things, none of that, right?
That's correct.
So, Mr. Chairman, I would submit that the work of the insurance commissioner is to be applauded insofar as its action, but I don't think we should rest merely on what the insurance commissioner has decreed as the end, and that's why this report is so important. It goes well beyond what the insurance commissioner has proposed, and I think it has a sense of urgency, which is necessary to deal with the ongoing problems. So if I can turn to the second question, Tamar, help me understand essentially the trade-off that the insurance commissioner has offered for insurance companies to make sure that they do not cherry pick. That is, that they offer insurance in areas that are away from wildfire, but they also offer insurance in wildfire-prone areas or economically disadvantaged areas. Could you just describe that system? Because I have some observations about it.
I'm definitely not quite the expert here, but there are some guidelines for the insurers to write a certain amount of policies in these wildfire-prone areas as a trade-off for being able to include the cost of California reinsurance and for other sorts of reform. So the trade-off there is supposed to be if they are promising to write through the admitted market, not through the fair plan, but through the admitted market, that they're going to, benefit by being able to include some of these costs that previously they have not been able to.
So this is a mechanism, let's call it a structure, that's supposed to make it harder for insurance companies to do things than that they currently do. In other words, to expand the number of homes that are going to receive insurance, right?
I think the goal is to make sure that there's more homes that are in what are deemed as higher risk areas that receive admitted insurance.
Okay, and the mechanism, if I'm not mistaken, is a CAL FIRE map, right? In part?
I believe so.
And this was a subject of some controversy in the legislature and in the press because the maps were viewed as both over-inclusive and under-inclusive. That is, areas that were not prone to wildfire were listed as prone, and those that were had experienced fires weren't listed. So if this mechanism is to work, insurance companies should have to change their behavior in some material way. And what's unclear, given investigations by various newspapers, is whether this mechanism can work. In other words, if insurance companies just keep doing exactly what they were doing before, because they had a certain amount of policies that they were issuing in wildfire-prone areas, then there's no incentive for them to expand. So the trade-off isn't at all clear to me. And I think that's something that the legislature has been struggling with. And so I just call that out as something else to be focused on, as we don't assume that everything proposed is going to go perfectly.
Thank you, Commissioner Byer. Commissioner Garcetti.
Good morning. I'm sorry I'm late. I did not hear the opening comments. I came in about 15, 20 minutes late, but I certainly want to adopt both Commissioner Aaron, excuse me, being less than formal, and Commissioner Breyer's comments. The one observation I had that I previously communicated to both Ethan and Pedro were two things. One, the excellence of the reports that we have. I mean, true excellence in the reports that we can all be proud of. But two, and this is before we received the PR release from the Insurance Commissioner's office, that in our executive summary, there is no mention of the lack of cooperation from the Insurance Commissioner's office. And I think that's a mistake, because some people will read the entire report. A lot of people will simply read the executive summary. And I think we need to have something in there about our attempt to get information from the Insurance Commissioner's office and their refusal to assist us. Now, contrary to Commissioner's comments about knowing the staff and Laura, et cetera, I do not know any of these people, but I was personally and professionally offended by the fact that the office would not respond, did not come in and talk to us. The PR, you can say it's a press release. I looked at it as something less than a press release. As Commissioner Breyer has correctly stated, they simply spelled out everything that we said that they agree with. But we would have loved to have known why on the other issues, there is an issue. What is the problem? What is the issue? It's not there. And so that's why I believe that I don't want to set a precedent for other department heads or elected officials who are invited to come and testify that they can simply, quote, get away with it by not showing up and not participating in really important matters that affect not just us as commissioners, but the entire population of California.
Thank you, Commissioner Garcetti. I will note on our draft report, it starts on page 7, I believe. The heading on it calls it out, a missing voice. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 paragraphs that outline what the commission and staff did in an attempt to secure cooperation and information from the insurance commissioner. But let me turn it over to Ethan, because I think Ethan may have some thoughts with respect to what we've heard so far this morning.
Well, I would also mention, Mr. Chairman, that also included in the report as an appendix is your letter to the insurance commissioner, which was the last of multiple outreach efforts from the commission asking him to testify. So that will be included as an appendix. But certainly, in response to Commissioner Garcetti's concern, we can change the executive summary to mention the refusal of the insurance commissioner and the department to meet with us or to testify. I think that minor changes to the executive summary fall under the technical changes by staff that we normally make after the report is approved. So we can certainly make that change to the executive summary. And with regard to Commissioner Byer's questions on the chronology, we have also prepared one additional sidebar, which is a straightforward chronology of problems in the insurance market and changes in the insurance market, and that can be included as well. Again, we have in the past sometimes included sidebars that have not been presented to the full commission. The text of the report, of course, is always presented to all of you, but sometimes sidebars or other minor, I don't want to say minor matters, but other smaller components of the report are added during formatting. And so we can add that chronology. We can make the change to the executive summary that Commissioner Garcetti has mentioned. And if that satisfies the commission, we can then move forward. If the report's approved today, of course, it can also be, we can also make further revisions if you all wish, but I would hope those changes might satisfy the commission.
Yeah, my sense of it is, I think that's really an appropriate way to proceed. I got a feeling, and I'll get to you, Commissioner Garcetti, I see your hand. But I do think that there's some urgency, and I think that we'd like to have the report adopted today, and then with the additions that you've described, I'll look at those along with staff as they go into the completed report. And let me go to Commissioner Garcetti.
Just one question for Commissioner Cannella, since you indicated you know the staff, you know the commissioner. Was there any explanation to you as to why they're not cooperating with us?
I don't know the staff. I know the commissioner. I served with him in the Senate, and I consider him a personal friend. I just know from my experience with Commissioner Lara that he's a man of the people. He cares about the people. He works hard for the people. So I just have a hard time believing that he said, I don't want to testify before the commission. I just think somebody's advising him and telling him, hey, it's not worth it. Let's not derail what we're doing. I don't know that from talking to him. I just know him personally. And this is so unlike him. This is my only point. So
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. Looking at the screen, I see no other hands that are raised. Taking into consideration the conversation that we had with respect to the sidebar and Commissioner Garcetti's wish to have additional information included in the executive summary, can entertain a motion to adopt the report as written to include the two areas that we've discussed.
So moved.
All right.
And any other technical issues that the staff identifies as they normally clean up a document.
Thank you, Commissioner Aaroner. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's a lot of seconds. So however the record reflects, I'm sure it'll be accurate. Call the question.
Mr. Chairman?
Aye.
Mr. Vice Chairman?
aye.
Commissioner Aaroner?
Aye.
Commissioner Byer?
Aye.
Assemblymember Chen? Commissioner Garcetti?
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez?
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson?
Aye.
Senator Min? Assemblymember Ortega? Commissioner Sidley?
Aye.
Senator Wilk? That motion carries, Mr. Chairman, and the report is adopted. I might mention for the benefit of the commission, we have already begun to work on formatting this report in hopes that it would be approved today. And so we hope to release it, the formatted version, fairly soon, but it's now adopted and of course is already on our website in the draft version.
Terrific. Thank you very much. And thanks to everybody for their work. Oh, I heard somebody.
Oh, it's me, Mr. Chair. If I just might add one more thing, I wanted to thank the commission for their leadership on this study, as in, all of the other studies as well. I just wanted to acknowledge that our colleague Ashley Hurley also contributed significantly to this report, and we have an excellent team here, and I just wanted to make sure that her work is acknowledged today as well. Thank you. That's all.
Good morning. Thank you for making that point. Again, the work that you all did was extraordinary. Thank you.
Good. Now let's get to
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, please, David.
So if I understand correctly, and Tamar can correct me, the legislature is supposed to turn to this topic in December. And to the extent we could encourage the chair to participate in any legislative hearings on this topic, I think that would be timely.
We will, Commissioner Byer, we are working on outreach to the legislature now in anticipation of sort of bill introduction season, and we will definitely be very aggressive in our outreach to the legislature on this report.
Thank you.
Right.
It'll be difficult in December, Commissioner, because committee assignments won't have been made. Normally, they don't get made until after the first of the year. So it'll be, normally the legislature, has 2 days where they form themselves, right, the first week of December, and then they go on a break until the first week of January. So,
Right, but the implementation of insurance reforms is scheduled for December, so there's a legislative opportunity.
Oh, yeah, right. No, exactly. Oh, no, absolutely.
Great. All right. Well, there's a direct flight from Santa Barbara, so that's good. All right, so let's go. I'm sorry, Ethan, number 4.
No, yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll move on then to item number 4 on the agenda, which is consideration of the draft report on the implementation of artificial intelligence in state government, which begins on page 42nd of the packet. The subcommittee here was Commissioners Byer and Johnson. I might also note that this is the first of 2 reports that we plan on artificial intelligence. The second will focus on artificial intelligence and disadvantaged communities with a particular focus on food insecurity. The subcommittee for that, as you know, is you, Mr. Chairman, and Commissioner Hernandez. We anticipate bringing that report to the full commission at the next meeting on November 21st. But today we will take up implementation of artificial intelligence in state government, dealing with training and procurement and other issues you will hear about now. Because I will ask Dan to present a brief summary of that report before you turn to the subcommittee, Mr. Chairman. Dan?
Thanks, Ethan, and good morning, Commissioners. As you know, the Little Hoover Commission has a strong history of promoting responsible technology in state government, including artificial intelligence. Your 2018 report, Artificial Intelligence, A Roadmap for California, provided valuable guidance on AI's role in the state. However, recent advancements in generative AI present new opportunities and risks that call for updated action. Governor Newsom's executive order on generative AI, issued in late 2023, underscores this urgency. The pace of policy is accelerating, and the report now under consideration offers recommendations to help California government navigate these changes. These recommendations range from a computing facility to support AI endeavors, to innovative approaches to AI training, to modifications to how AI is purchased. The common thread that runs through them all is an emphasis on empowering those who will use AI for the good of California: academics, nonprofits, and above all, rank and file state workers. These will be the drivers of AI innovation in California, and this report's recommendations are designed to help them build expertise and implement AI solutions that improve public services and, we hope, improve the lives of all Californians. I will now briefly walk through a summary of our 9 recommendations. Number 1, an AI computing center. California should build a state-run, cloud-based AI computing center to provide scalable, affordable compute power for state agencies, academic institutions, nonprofits, and startups. Number 2, a California AI Council. A dedicated AI council should be established to oversee AI implementation, keeping the state on track and focused on using AI for the good of the public. Number 3, Gen AI tools and trainings. Secure generative AI tools and training should be made available to all state employees, with options for peer-to-peer learning and self-directed study tailored to each agency's needs. 4, make AI easy to adopt. Agencies need pathways for adopting AI without increasing workloads, supported by clear use policies, interagency collaboration, needs assessments, and pilot programs for scalable AI applications. Number 5, procurement and risk assessment. The state should simplify AI procurement and risk assessment processes while maintaining safety standards. Number 6, strengthening human worker voices. Balancing AI benefits with human values is critical. Regular forums, position statements, and an AI ombudsperson will help maintain a strong human presence in state operations. 7, building trust in AI. To address public concerns, the state should launch a program to educate Californians on the safe and responsible use of AI. Number 8, legislative oversight. A select committee on California public sector AI should be formed to ensure that legislators stay informed about rapidly evolving AI issues and provide necessary oversight. And finally, number 9, beyond Gen AI. Current Gen AI policies should be broadened to cover all high-risk technologies in order to future-proof state IT policy. In sum, these recommendations are designed to support a state AI strategy that is both innovative and responsible, thereby strengthening California's public sector. With that, I'll turn it back over to the chair for any questions or further discussion.
Thank you. And as mentioned by Ethan, the subcommittee on this was Commissioners Byer and Johnson. I'm not so sure I want Johnson to participate because he's driving, but Commissioner Byer?
Well, the chair of the effort was Commissioner Johnson, and I think his leadership was extremely important in setting the right altitude for the report. He asked very early on, if you had a minute, what would you tell the governor we're recommending? And I think that actually helped us more than maybe even he knew, because it meant we were not going to get distracted either by small things or details in terms of factual presentation, but trying to make a case for things the governor and the legislature could do in the short term. And so there are a couple of things in the report that I'm going to comment on, but one important thing, we chose consciously to not get into the question that was posed by legislation which passed the legislature and was vetoed by the governor. We did not get into Scott Wiener's bill or the details or the debate about it. And so no one should read the report looking for hints. If they're there, they're inadvertent. We did not try and weigh in at all on that topic. Rather, we chose to look at really two things. And the Cal Compute question I'll deal with second. But the other provisions are an attempt to do what many, maybe all large organizations in the country and in the world are going to seek to do. How do you train and empower the people who work for you? So we started with the predicate of respect. That is, state workers and the tasks they do are vitally important for all citizens. And we need to make sure they're adequately and appropriately trained on how to use AI. And we built in a system that permits access to tools that facilitate that. So there's a bit of self-empowerment for employees, but there's also a concept which I think the staff correctly called a sandbox. That is a kind of walled garden in which some degree of experimentation can occur so that state workers and state functions can learn how to better serve the public. And that relates to the other point that Daniel alluded to, that is to help educate citizens about how AI will affect their lives and how it offers the opportunity to improve outcomes. And Mr. Chairman and others on the commission know we are going to be having a second report about the use of AI for disadvantaged communities. That report likely is as important, maybe even more important, for educating Californians about what AI can do for everyday working people and people with disabilities, people who have special needs. I think that's vitally important. And then turning to the Cal Compute question, there are good arguments, I think, for doing this, but maybe I can turn to Daniel to offer what's in the report, because I think he did a really good job of capturing the salient facts. Daniel?
Thanks, David. Yeah, I'm so sorry. Thank you, Commissioner Byer.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, I was in the moment there. Yeah, I mean, there are many good reasons for developing a state-run, AI supporting computing center. Partly because people are asking for it, right? We see academics, up and down the state, wanting to make use of these tools, but finding, when they contract with, Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud or whatever, it's prohibitively expensive for them to do so. And I can provide some numbers there, if people are interested. So a state version of that, to support academic research, nonprofits in the state, is going to empower them to use tools that they really can't take advantage of from private vendors. The other, big argument goes to the point that you were making before. We need to make sure that, when state agencies are using, this stuff, that it's absolutely secure, that they can get, detailed granular information about, the systems that they're, taking advantage of on a moment's notice, right? The best cybersecurity. And so, really state-run is the way to go from a security perspective as well.
Well, thank you. A couple other points. As you think about models for how research has been undertaken in other areas, one concrete example of California leadership was stem cell ballot initiative, which essentially occurred against a backdrop where the federal government had decided to not pursue a line of research. In this case, it's not that concern. Because the current administration, and my guess is the next administration, will continue to pursue AI policies, but rather making sure that those who don't have the expertise, and that could be nonprofits, it could be local governments, counties, cities, municipalities, special districts, have access to something where they have a friendly receptor site in the state who has an incentive to cooperate with them. Another argument is that in the days like 2018, when we wrote our first report, the percentage of research, peer-reviewed research that was coming from academia and from nonprofits was, my recollection is, well over 75%. Today it's 3 or 4%, which means that most of the research is occurring inside large tech companies. And a state who has a capacity to create its own prioritization and its own security system is going to have more confidence that the data that's put in, analyzed, and used is secure, and it reflects the will of the people of California. So I think there's some good reasons for it. We did not attempt to describe the size of this compute power or its financing mechanism, believing that the governor and the legislature should sort that out. And I do note as a footnote, the legislature did provide, in a very curious way, a precedent for this in the bill, Senator Wick's bill, about local media. There was an agreement by a large tech company to put in money for a California compute center. Probably not enough money, but there is precedent for doing this.
Thank you, Commissioner Byer. Let's turn to Commissioner Johnson. I know you were unmuted just a bit ago. Let me get back to you.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. So I very much have enjoyed co-chairing this subcommittee with David. This is my first time participating in co-chairing a subcommittee, and this is a subject that I'm personally very passionate about. I see a tremendous amount of opportunity of how AI can serve all people of California, and this amount of work that's been put into this, I think, is highly valuable, and I'm very honored to be part of this. And I really don't have much more to add. Commissioner Byer is so articulate, and really, I really hats off to him on how he's really helped guide this study, and it's been a great mentor for me as a junior commissioner, and seeing how to do this. And I've really enjoyed working with him and with staff, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next steps of this study go forward.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. Let me open it up to the other commissioners who have any questions or comments. Seeing none, let me go back to Daniel. If you have nothing more to add, then I can ask Ethan to let's entertain a motion to adopt the report as written.
That sounds good, Chairman Nava.
All right, thank you. That was almost a motion, but I don't think.
Yeah, so moved.
Okay, Commissioner Byer, followed by the second is Commissioner Johnson, it looks like.
Aye.
There you go. All right, so Ethan, would you be so kind as call the roll?
Certainly, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman.
Aye.
Mr. Vice Chairman.
Aye.
Commissioner Arner.
Aye.
Commissioner Byer.
Aye.
Assemblymember Chen. Commissioner Garcetti.
Aye.
Commissioner Hernandez,
Aye.
Commissioner Johnson.
Aye.
Senator Min, Assemblymember Ortega, Commissioner Sidley,
Aye.
Senator Wilk. The motion carries, Mr. Chairman. That report is adopted. Similar to we anticipate releasing the insurance report first because we are a bit farther along in the formatting process, but we hope to release this AI report as soon as we possibly can once it is formatted.
Terrific. Thank you very much again. And thanks to commissioners and to staff for an important report. Next, we have item number 5, which is a project and meeting schedule.
So, Mr. Chairman, 5A is the update on current studies. That is self-explanatory. We approved 2 reports today. As I mentioned, we're working on the second AI report to be brought to the commission hopefully in 2 weeks. And our study on public philanthropic partnerships is ongoing. 5B is the meeting schedule. That is in the packet at page 97. I would call the commission's attention to the fact that we have 2 meetings yet to come this year, November 21st and December 7th. And the packet also includes, again, page 97, a schedule of 12 monthly meetings next year, generally keeping to the 4th Thursday of the month, the tradition of the commission. That schedule might need to be revised, of course, as we move forward next year, but it's there now, so commissioners can add those dates to their calendars. Then turning to item 5C, which is the discussion of future study topics, we actually have staff bandwidth at this time to add 2 study topics. The commission could select those topics today if you wish, or at your direction, we can return on November 21st with brief scoping memos on 3 or perhaps even 4 topics, and then the final decision could be made on the 21st. That's obviously up to the commission, but we've often done those scoping memos in the past. Let me just note that in the packet, a list of recent study requests is at page 99, and the list of previous ideas that came from all of you, from staff, from other sources, that begins on page 101. I also want to highlight that we have 4 new request letters that were new since the last time we discussed topic selection. Assemblymember Ortega, who of course also is a member of the commission, wrote to endorse a previous request from Senator Bradford. Those letters begin on page 106 and 108. That request deals with embedded charges in utility bills. One note there is that, as commissioners are aware, last week the governor issued an executive order on this topic requiring state agencies to make recommendations by January 1st on that topic. Assemblymember Patterson and 13 other members have written to request a study of fixed wireless to bridge the digital divide. That letter at page 110. Inland Action requested a study on timelines for emission reductions imposed by CARB. That's at page 113. The Pacific Palisades Community Council requested a study on homelessness programs. That's at page 115. And then there are also older letters in the packet, including one from the legislature. Assembly members Jackson, Lee, Alanis, and Rubio have requested a study on affordability. That is at page 127. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back to you and to the commission for discussion, and happy to answer any questions.
Thanks. I see 2 hands raised, Vice Chair Canella and Hernandez. So I guess it's Vice Chair Canella.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to speak up on the request by Senator Bradford and now Assemblymember Ortega. First of all, I think this is an important thing to look into. If the governor's asking for it, I think it's important for us to look at it. Obviously, we'll kind of follow the governor and his staff, but I still think we can add a lot to it so I think it's important to look at it for that. I think it's important to look at, man, we're all getting kind of killed with higher utility costs, higher gas costs, all kinds of things. And it's, I think, affecting the poor a lot more than it affects anybody else. So I think it's important to look at it, but also just out of great deference for Senator Bradford, who is finishing up his legislative career. And I think if you look at what he's done for our state through legislation, maybe you agree with it, maybe you don't. He's been a tremendous advocate for the poor, for working people. And I think I would like to bring this study on just to thank him for what he's done over the last 14 years. So whatever the format, we need to bring it back in a scoping memo or not, I just wanted to strongly support that request.
Thank you. Commissioner Hernandez.
So similarly, I agree wholeheartedly in terms of Senator Bradford's contribution to the state. I think he's looking to continue some of those contributions, and we can talk about that later. But in terms of the merit of this conversation, spot on. I mean, we're seeing an increase in rates overall, and we project a higher increase in the next year to 3 years. One thing, though, is given that we have bandwidth, I mean, our original concern was the scope. It's actually pretty specific in terms of the request, in terms of just looking at some of the programs embedded in the rates. That's tops 5%, 6% volumetric. If you really want to have a larger impact on affordability, perhaps we look at overall impact of the utility rates and have a larger conversation in terms of how we can really be addressing that. And within that, definitely assess the existing programs that are embedded in the rates. So my recommendation is, yes, let's look at the rates, but have a larger conversation on affordability and the overall structure.
I've got Garcetti, Byer, and Aaroner. Commissioner Garcetti?
Now, very quickly, I like the idea about the scoping memos. I think those are very helpful, and I would pick 3 or 4 for scoping memos.
All right. Commissioner Byer?
I agree with Commissioner Garcetti about scoping memos. With respect to the electricity question, I believe we would be well served to take this up on November 21st so that we can have the benefit of a scoping memo, because there are multiple directions that this can go down in, as a fellow commissioner just alluded to. The potential conflict between climate goals and affordability is a very large topic, and how to deal with that and how to deal with the overlapping, sometimes conflicting jurisdiction of the Public Utility Commission and other governmental entities. It's complicated, and either narrowing or dividing it into topics, I think, would be useful. But let me make a pitch for a different issue, and maybe just for a scoping memo at this point. It's been many years since we looked at civil service reform. And my view is that the sine qua non for effective government is organizing the state workforce in a way that optimizes the talent and management structures. I don't believe the current civil service system works very well and is an impediment to whoever the governor is and to the legislature in terms of accountability. And I know that's a big topic. I know it's heavily fraught, but if we were to do a study, and this is why a scoping memo would be helpful, to take a look at how other states, similarly situated states, probably there aren't any, but how other states deal with civil service, to try and make sure that we learn from the best, to get the best quality people, to train them well, to promote them appropriately, and to have rules of governance that are fair and just. And I'm not sure that enough time has gone by to allow some people to ignore the scars of previous civil service reform, but I'm hoping that that's the case, and we have the energy to undertake that topic.
Thank you. Commissioner Aaroner?
Yeah, on the electricity one, I was Commissioner Byer, I think it was Commissioner Byer who brought up the issue in regards, I'm just thinking as somebody who put solar panels on our house, right, just recently, right, the impact of the arrangements, the financial arrangements really need to be looked at, right, because there are people who claim that you know, as we use alternative forms of energy, right, that leaves the ratepayers for the traditional electric system on the hook for costs that they might not be able to bear. So, but I'd also like to make a suggestion, and I really would like to have an informational document. I think it is time for us to look at our foster care / child welfare system. We've talked about it a little bit. I thought we were actually going to do a piece on it to just to see what the issues are, because the state it appears that the state has adopted a policy of what's called the continuum of care, to have a variety of kinds of programs that are available to these very for the kids that are part, that we as a state become their parents from time to time. But I don't think that that's the direction that they're actually following. I think they're going maybe in the opposite direction of limiting the kinds of services that are available, with very well-intentioned idea that every child should be in his or her own home. And then how do we provide services for those youngsters, in that setting? And so I really would love to take a look at it and at least ask for I've lost the term already. The back.
Scoping memo.
Pardon me?
Scoping memo.
The scoping memo, right, on child welfare / foster care.
All right. So looking at the commissioners, seeing no further raised hands, it certainly seems to me, did I interrupt somebody? No, okay. It certainly seems to me as though there is momentum to take a look at the area that Senator Bradford has requested, subject to a scoping memo, followed by, and I think Commissioner Byers' point, as it relates, especially when we're looking at new technologies, artificial intelligence, application in the workforce. How does the state of California attract the best and the brightest, other than those that want to self-sacrifice and work for wages far below the industry standard, and that civil service ought to be examined with it, and we can do a scoping memo. And then I think foster care. And Ethan, you indicated we could do 3 or 4 comfortably. That's 3. So is that the will of the commission? And hearing no objection, I'm going to assume that that's okay for us to go that way. Commissioner Garcetti.
I was just going to back exactly what the Commissioner Byers said about civil service. I was both protected by civil service, and I was on the other side of civil service when I was the elected official. And the timing of this might be perfect since they're going to be doing this in Washington. And I think maybe there might be an expert or 2 from Washington. Maybe even Mr. Musk would want to show up to our meeting. Thank you.
Very good. All right. So Ethan, do you have enough direction at this point?
I believe that we do, Mr. Chairman. So we will prepare scoping memos on the Senator Bradford and Assemblymember Ortega's request. I think if I understood correctly, Commissioner Hernandez is suggesting a bit broadening of that request to be more focused generally on utility affordability. So we will utility costs. So we will return with a scoping memo on that, also on civil service reform, and then on foster care. We previously did a scoping memo on that, but it was some time ago, and we will refresh that memo and then come back on the 21st for a more extended discussion among those 3 options, or of course at that time the commission could pick something else if it wishes.
All right, perfect. Right. Right.
Very
Number
go ahead.
6.
Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. I really do appreciate commissioners working this way, because we've got everybody here that we started with, and I'm grateful for that. So let's go to item number 6, administrative update.
I can present the last 2 items very quickly, Mr. Chairman. Really, the only item I'll mention on the administrative update is that we will present also on the 21st. Well, before that, we will send in the packet. We will present to the commission proposed revisions for the commission's rules of procedure. This badly needs to be updated. There is language that is sexist, that is technologically out of date, that doesn't reflect current law. So the commission's rules of procedure are badly out of date. We'll come back with proposed revisions, and the commission can discuss those on the 21st. And if I may move on then, Mr. Chairman, with the permission of the commission, to the implementation and impact report, I think I can handle that fairly quickly too, which is that we are now reaching out to every legislative office. Since it is the season for bill ideas, we are reaching out with 2 separate outreach letters, one to those who will still be in office. In the case of members who are termed out, we're also reaching out to their chiefs of staff and ledge directors, because often they will migrate to new members once their member terms out. So we've just drafted those letters. I believe they've not actually been sent out, but they will be sent out very shortly. We'll be reaching out and meeting with those offices, and then updating you at the next meeting and or December with further information on that outreach.
Understood.
I see Commissioner Hernandez raised his hand. I don't know if he has a question on that topic or.
Yeah, please.
You just reminded me in terms of the educational opportunity here with new members. I think December 2nd, for the first time in a long time, we're going to have over 50 senators and assembly members with less than 2 years experience. And so I don't know if we have a focused training for them. I know that sometimes you do that for staff, but just get an idea of how you're planning on getting out in front of them.
We have reached out or are in the either have or are about to reach out to the legislature's training for new members, asking that we be included in that training. I don't believe we've received any response yet from them, but we'll be trying to do that. We can also do our own. We could do a webinar for staff members. I'm not sure for new members how much a webinar from us would really attract participation, but I think staff members, we could do a webinar, for instance, and try to train them. But I think unless the commission disagrees, I think the best option is to be included in the legislature's own training. So we're trying to get time in that schedule.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, we have done that in the past.
Yeah.
So let's see what the situation is currently. All right. So that concludes our meeting. Seeing no further hands raised by commissioners, I want to thank you all for being so focused and for adopting both of these reports. Again, gratitude to staff and commissioners who worked on them. I think you've put out a couple of really solid documents that should provide direction. And I think Ethan knows we're getting a lot more inquiries from the legislature. There's no question that the legislature is looking to Little Hoover Commission for some ideas, in large part because we are clearly either bipartisan, nonpartisan, and the work that we complete is seen as having integrity and being complete and actually very practical. So having said that, adios. Thanks, Ethan. Goodbye,
Thank you,
everybody.
Mr. Chairman.
See you on the 21st.